You are watching history unfold, and most Americans have no idea it's happening. Countries like Kenya, Sri Lanka, and Panama are no longer taking US dollar loans. Instead, they're turning to China's renminbi. The shift is happening quietly, but the reasons are loud and clear. The dollar, once the unshakable foundation of global finance, is losing trust. Under Trump, borrowing costs have climbed, investors have grown nervous, and holding dollars has started to look like a dangerous gamble. What we're seeing now is the beginning of a global panic. Think about it this way. When a government carries heavy debt in dollars, every swing in the currency can turn into a financial shock. A simple fluctuation can suddenly make that debt far more expensive to service. Leaders everywhere see this danger. That's why some are shifting major infrastructure loans, highways, ports, rail networks, out of the greenback and into the Yuan. With China's currency, borrowing costs are lower, repayments are steadier, and the risks of a financial freefall look easier to manage. And the reports arriving in just the past few days confirm that this trend is accelerating fast. Meanwhile, across America's industrial heartland, the slowdown is already visible. From the Rust Belt to the Midwest, factories are scaling back. Jobs are disappearing. Payrolls are being revised down month after month. Moody's has now confirmed the fears many held quietly. At least a third of U.S. states are in recession. New Jersey, Illinois, Pennsylvania, once the pillars of American industry, are contracting hard. The numbers are grim and the decline is spreading. So stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed, because this story is going to change the way you see the global economy. Let's get started. Donald Trump's trade war was pitched as a way to make America strong again. A promise built on nostalgia for a manufacturing age that has been fading for decades. Instead of reviving that golden era, the policy gamble has revealed how fragile the system really is. What was advertised as a renaissance looks more like a collapse in slow motion. Across the Farm Belt, the damage is visible. In Iowa and Nebraska, soybeans that once moved by the shipload to China now sit unsold, piling up in silos. Farmers watch crops decay, not because of bad weather, but because their biggest buyers have turned elsewhere. And it's not just agriculture. States that once defined American strength in industry are sliding into recession. Moody's Analytics warns that more than a dozen states are contracting, with New Jersey and Illinois flashing red. In the Rust Belt, the old steel corridors stretching from Ohio to Michigan are losing jobs at a pace not seen since the 2008 financial crisis. Plants are shutting down, shifts are being cut, and the workers who were promised stability now find themselves staring at unemployment lines. The corporate picture is no better. Coca-Cola has already shuttered 5 factories in just 5 months this year. Stellantis, Jeep, and Ford have laid off thousands. In Ohio, steel mills that briefly restarted when the first tariffs came down are now closing again. In Michigan, auto plants are cutting orders as foreign retaliation batters exports. Pennsylvania's coal towns were promised a revival, but instead, production is sinking while cheaper renewable imports undercut domestic energy. Cities once synonymous with American grit, Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, look hollowed out, carrying the weight of poverty, crime, and shrinking tax bases. This isn't just an economic story, it's cultural. The image of the American worker has been turned into a political slogan, while in reality, those same workers have been abandoned. Job training programs are starved of funds, union power is broken, and entire communities built around a single factory or mill now face extinction. Politicians can wave flags, but flags don't cover mortgages. And a dangerous question is emerging. What happens when a generation of workers realizes the dream they were sold was never real? The fallout doesn't end at the factory gates. When industry falters, trucking firms lose contracts, small businesses, from diners to repair shops, see customers vanish, and local housing markets collapse as families flee in search of work. These towns are becoming economic ghost zones, written off by Wall Street and forgotten in Washington. And the pain is spreading nationwide. Consumers everywhere are cutting back. Spending is shrinking sharply. Credit card defaults are climbing, and confidence, The fuel that powers America's consumption-driven economy is draining away. Families aren't saving by choice. They're being forced to cut back because rent, groceries, and utilities devour entire paychecks while wages barely move. This is the real cost of tariffs. The damage circles back and hits home. And looming over it all is a far bigger problem, one that few in Washington want to admit. While America struggles, the rest of the world is looking at the US dollar, the currency that underpins global trade and American power, and beginning to ask, why should we keep trusting it? For decades, the US dollar was more than just money. It was the backbone of global trade. Governments, banks, and corporations relied on it because they trusted it. If you needed capital in Nairobi, Budapest, or Buenos Aires, you turned to dollar markets. That was the rule, and it shaped the world order. But that order is breaking down. Over the past year, countries from Hungary to Kenya to Kazakhstan have shifted their borrowing away from the dollar and toward China's yuan. They're raising billions by issuing Panda bonds inside China and dim sum bonds in Hong Kong, not in US dollars, but in renminbi. This isn't a token experiment. It's a large-scale shift. Data shows that yuan borrowing by emerging markets has surged since 2024. Some governments aren't just borrowing new funds in yuan. They're actively converting old dollar debts into Chinese currency. The implications are huge. For 70 years, global finance has been built on the eurodollar system, dollar-based borrowing and lending outside the United States. That system gave Washington leverage over nearly every country on the planet. But now the foundation is cracking, and those cracks are spreading. Look at the numbers. In just the past few months, the US dollar has fallen by almost 10%. For a developing country with $1 billion of debt, that drop isn't a small adjustment. It's a national crisis. Repayments suddenly cost tens of millions more than expected, draining budgets and pushing economies to the brink. And more volatility is on the way. The Federal Reserve, under pressure from Trump, is signaling deeper rate cuts, potentially another 50 basis points. That could weaken the dollar by another 5 to 10% in the short term. For countries already stretched thin, the dollar has become a moving target that no one can afford to chase. Now compare that with China's yuan. Interest rates on yuan-denominated loans hover around 2.4%, less than half the cost of dollar loans. The currency itself has held steady, supported by China's vast export machine and Beijing's tight controls. Kenya is a clear example. By shifting a significant portion of its infrastructure debt from dollars to yuan, it cut borrowing costs nearly in half. That translates into real savings, real projects moving forward, and far more predictable budgets. This is the quiet power of China's financial strategy. While Washington exhausts itself on tariffs and threats, Beijing is offering what many nations want most: cheaper, safer, and more reliable financing. And the world isn't just listening. It's signing contracts. The irony couldn't be sharper. Trump's tariffs were designed to box China in. Instead, they've strengthened Beijing's role in global finance. The United States is losing its place as the world's banker, and the yuan is moving in to claim the space, one bond issue at a time. And this financial shift is shaping the balance of power at the negotiating table. Washington still tries to project strength, but the leverage that once came from the dollar is slipping away fast. Trump's chief trade negotiator, Scott Bessent, is on his way to Beijing with a list of demands. But the reality is stark. America has very little bargaining power left. Washington is threatening to impose a 100% secondary tariff on China for continuing to buy Russian oil. On paper, it sounds like a show of strength. In practice, it's reckless. Doubling tariffs on Chinese goods would drive US consumer prices sharply higher at a time when families are already struggling. Inflation is still hot. The Consumer Price Index rose 0.4% in August, one of the steepest monthly jumps in years. If tariffs go even further, the cost of everything from electronics to household goods could explode. China, meanwhile, is playing the long game. While trade volumes with the US are shrinking, Beijing has been redirecting its exports to Europe, Africa, and Southeast Asia. Shipments to those regions are up more than 20%, proving that China isn't sitting still. It's building alternative markets and deepening alliances that bypass Washington's pressure. Then there's the issue of resources. Rare earth minerals, essential for everything from fighter jets to smartphones, remain firmly under Chinese control. If Beijing decides to tighten supply or flood the market, U.S. industries could grind to a halt. The same vulnerability applies to agriculture. American soybean farmers rely heavily on Chinese demand. If Beijing reduces purchases, those farms don't just lose a customer, they lose their lifeline. This is the chessboard today. Washington leans on tariffs while China holds the stronger pieces: the resources, the financing, and the expanding trade networks. One side is scrambling under pressure, the other is following a steady plan. And while governments clash, it's America's corporations that are caught in the middle. Giants like Apple, Nvidia, and Tesla, companies that once saw China as their crown jewel of growth, are now fighting to hold their ground in a market that is both hostile and indispensable. The world's second largest economy isn't just a customer. It's the supply chain, the testing ground, and the engine that powers American corporations on a global scale. Walking away isn't possible, yet protecting their position is becoming almost impossible. Take Apple. For years, the formula was simple: build iPhones in Chinese factories, sell them to Chinese consumers, and funnel profits back to Cupertino. But that model is under siege. Regulators have banned iPhones from certain government offices while nudging consumers toward Huawei's domestic smartphones. Foreign brands have been hit hard, with sales of devices like the iPhone down 31% in China. Tim Cook has responded with emergency visits to Beijing, promising new investments and praising China's role in Apple's success. Behind the scenes, though, Apple is shifting parts of its assembly line to India and Vietnam, an insurance policy that reveals just how fragile its dependence on China has become. Nvidia faces an even sharper dilemma. Its advanced chips are central to the future of artificial intelligence, yet Washington's export restrictions have crippled its ability to sell top-tier GPUs to Chinese companies. In a scramble to adapt, Nvidia has rolled out downgraded versions designed to slip through sanctions while keeping Chinese customers. CEO Jensen Huang has warned repeatedly that cutting off China could cripple U.S. chipmakers. But these workarounds are temporary. Every choice Nvidia makes risks angering either Washington or Beijing, leaving the company trapped in a no-win situation. Other firms are caught in the same bind. Tesla's Shanghai Gigafactory, once a symbol of U.S. innovation, now faces mounting competition from BYD and other domestic EV makers backed by subsidies and political favoritism. Starbucks and McDonald's, long seen as symbols of Western culture, are losing ground to patriotic consumer shifts toward local brands. Even Microsoft and Qualcomm have quietly pressed the White House to relax restrictions, warning that cutting ties with China could undermine America's tech leadership itself. The irony is clear. U.S. companies built their future on China's scale, labor, and consumers. They told shareholders that access to 1.4 billion people was the guarantee of endless growth. Now that promise is unraveling under tariffs, sanctions, and political hostility. Firms are splitting supply chains, building China-only products, lobbying governments, and in some cases bending to Beijing's rules. None of it solves the deeper problem. China is no longer a cooperative partner, and the U.S. is no longer a dependable backer. This scramble isn't about quarterly profits anymore. It's about survival. If Apple stumbles, if Nvidia is shut out, if Tesla's dominance slips, the impact will echo through Wall Street, pension funds, and the broader American economy. And the most sobering part is that this contest has only just begun. So here's the question. If American corporations can't hold on to China, can they even save themselves? Subscribe now to stay updated. We'll be following every turn of this story. See you in the next one.